For decades, offshoring, automation, and the rise of service jobs have reshaped the workforce. Manufacturing, once the backbone of the economy, saw a steep decline. Over a third of those jobs disappeared, even as the overall workforce grew by 50%. Back then, this was considered progress. Manufacturing jobs were seen as dangerous, physically demanding, and less prestigious than office work. But today, that narrative is shifting. Suddenly, manufacturing jobs are back in demand, and politicians are staking their campaigns on bringing them home. Billions of dollars in government incentives are being poured into factories. But here's the big question. Can we really turn back the clock? Or are we fighting an uphill battle that could do more harm than good? So, why this renewed interest in manufacturing jobs? It boils down to simple economics. In the past, manufacturing was the most reliable way for men without a college degree to earn a stable, family-supporting wage. Fast forward to today, and even college graduates struggle to find well-paying jobs. Housing costs are skyrocketing in cities with good job markets, making a comfortable life out of reach for many. Suddenly, factory jobs don't seem so bad. But here's where things get interesting. Manufacturing jobs used to follow a clear structure. At the bottom, you had factory workers. Above them, experienced supervisors. And at the top, college-educated executives designing products and setting strategy. But globalization, automation, and outsourcing flipped the script. Instead of working in factories ourselves, we outsourced those jobs overseas and positioned ourselves as managers and specialists. And for a while, this worked, until it didn't. The problem? There's not so much room at the top. The workforce expanded, but leadership roles didn't scale with it. Instead, we created a whole new category of white-collar jobs. Titles like corporate wellness manager, social media coordinator, and sustainability consultant. Jobs that didn't exist a generation ago. But while these jobs filled office spaces, they didn't necessarily create more value. Meanwhile, the countries we outsourced to, China, South Korea, and Japan, didn't just stay at the bottom of the manufacturing chain. They built their own industries, their own high-tech sectors, and are now outcompeting the companies that originally outsourced work to them. The fight for jobs is no longer just about factory workers, it's about everyone, from assembly lines to corporate boardrooms. What's the proposed solution? Bring back manufacturing jobs and rebuild the economic pyramid from the ground up. On paper, it sounds like a solid plan. But here's the catch. It misses the bigger picture. America isn't the only country dealing with this issue. Australia once had a thriving manufacturing sector, producing everything from automobiles to aircraft. Today, its largest manufacturing employment sector? Baking. Even China, which benefited from America's outsourcing, has started outsourcing its own production to cheaper countries like Vietnam and India. Harvard economist Robert Lawrence argues that the rush to revive manufacturing is, at best, a futile effort. Nostalgia for factory jobs ignores the real issue: wages, cost of living, and economic mobility. The reason manufacturing jobs look attractive today isn't because they've inherently improved. It's because they've retained strong union representation, something most modern white-collar jobs lack. Unions have negotiated higher wages and better benefits for factory workers, while many office workers remain unorganized, believing they're part of management. But if white-collar wages had kept up with productivity, factory wages wouldn't seem so high. Office jobs would simply pay more. Question here is, will government incentives work? The U.S. government is pouring money into manufacturing through incentives like the CHIPS Act and infrastructure investments. But here's the reality. Businesses are pocketing much of these funds, funneling them to investors rather than workers. Even worse, After decades of pushing college education, the workforce has shifted, and there simply aren't enough skilled workers to fill these new factory jobs. Some companies are now hiring foreign workers to fill these roles, essentially outsourcing labor right back to where we started. So, what's the real solution? The idea of reviving manufacturing is politically appealing, but economically flawed. Instead of fixating on factory jobs, we should focus on broader solutions. Strengthening unions across all industries, not just in manufacturing. Making high-wage cities more affordable. Providing worker protections and fair wages across sectors. The nostalgia for manufacturing jobs is really nostalgia for a time when wages could support a middle-class life. Bringing back factories won't fix that alone, but smart policies that prioritize workers over investors just might. What do you think? Is reviving manufacturing the right move, or are we chasing an illusion? Let's discuss in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Money and Market for more deep dives into the economy and the forces shaping our financial future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.